Hello, hello, hello. Hello, this is Doc, aka Dr. Lariat, aka The Lunatic Fringe, aka Kenny Omega, aka Sam Wu Gabriela, aka Filipino Heat, aka Magandang Umaga, aka Ube Lashley, aka Rob Pandan, aka you know what it is. It is the vegan killer Randy Otap, aka the Flanimal Bautista, I walk around the fire pit of lechon, aka the last real champ, big match, Gian Sinagang, aka welcome to the Puso Penitentiary. And when I say Poos, you say so. Poos.
Am I supposed to participate in this?
Yes, sir.
I'd prefer not to.
And there we go. This is your host, Doc. And joining me today, someone showing a bunch of professionalism on his part. Who doesn't want to do audience participation chants? Because I don't think he's a mark in that way. He works in the news. He's a newsman. He's a handsome man. He has wonderful, fabulous hair. He can actually pull off a goatee with no beard. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the ability to only pull off a goatee, that's rare. I would say there's like only a couple guys that can do that. I mean, there's Stone Cold Steve Austin, there's Al Pacino, there's Robert De Niro, and joining me today on that illustrious list of men is Paul Wedding. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing good. That's very flattering of you. I appreciate the introduction, and yeah, it's great to be on.
Yeah. So, like you're from Dallas, and around this time of year, I want to let people know that uh, I'm really recording this way ahead of time, but I am a big fan, big fan of Christmas time, and it's probably one of my favorite times of the year. And I just want to ask Mr. Wedding if you have any wintertime traditions that is like important for you.
Not really. I mean, it's kind of I go down to Houston every Christmas and spend it with my family. I got a brother and some couple nieces, and yeah, and spend it with my mom, and we open presents, that whole thing. Nothing really special. Just I guess typical family Christmas activities.
That's great, man. Do you have like, is there like any special like? So there's no special thing you guys do for Christmas. It's just Christmas is special.
Yeah, well, we have my larger family has like a Christmas Eve gathering every year where we open some gifts and just spend time with each other. Me and my grandmother and my aunts and uncles and things like that.
Oh, that's great. My question is like, you know, at like at like any like party or family gathering, did you guys ever crack open Super Nintendo or Nintendo 64?
Not at a party. I had a Nintendo 64 growing up, but
Oh
not
yeah.
yeah, never during a gathering or anything.
Oh, okay. Were you when you played video games? Were you a solo gamer, or since you have a brother, were you like multiplayer?
Um, yeah, my me and my brother would play games when we were little, but he's like 9 years older than me, so
Oh, okay.
he was when I was young. He wasn't in the house as much, so yeah, I'd play by myself a lot.
And what games would you be playing?
Oh, well, on the Nintendo, I'd play like Paper Mario or
Heck yeah.
Pokemon Stadium, Mario Kart.
Oh, that's
Then
excellent.
by the time I was a teenager, I became a hardcore PC gamer. I played a lot of Team Fortress 2 and
Ooh,
the Half Life games and yeah, just a bunch of different PC games.
that's great, man. Cause you know, um, so you're the little brother.
Yes, yeah. There's I'm the youngest of two children.
Okay, yeah, that's good. I'm the older brother, and
Oh, okay.
I never. I was like only 2 years older than my little brother, but I never felt. Sometimes I felt like I had to be an example for him, and I also thought like I had to be because if I wasn't a good example, my dad would smack me in the mouth. Because
Yeah.
anytime he did something bad, I got in trouble for it.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, that's here or there. And what we're here to really discuss besides that stuff, thank you for sharing, by the way,
Sure.
is how'd you get into wrestling, man?
Um, well, my brother was a big fan growing up.
Oh,
And when I was little, I really didn't get it, actually. I was kind of, it never really carried my interest when I was like 4, 5, 6 years old. That was during the Attitude Era. And my
yeah.
brother was super into, Stone Cold and The Rock and The Undertaker. And I thought The Undertaker was pretty cool, but I never really watched actively. And then I think when I was older, one week I just saw it and I was about 9 years old and it just clicked for me. It was in the build up, or no, it was right after WrestleMania 20,
Mm,
and I was watching a story. It was the story of how like Chris Benoit just won the title, and that really connected with me. And then I remember a specific match on Raw in 2004. I had it on. And it was Shelton Benjamin versus Triple H, and I knew Triple H was like a big deal at this point, and so I was like, oh well, this guy's gonna get killed, and then he wins the match, and that was what really hooked me. I thought they told a great story. I still rewatch that match every year or two, just because I think it holds up so well, and Shelton's always had kind of a
yeah.
soft spot in my heart ever since then, and that from then. Well, I was a hardcore fan for a couple of years, and then it got a little too. DX came back, and it got a little too risque. And my mom made me stop watching it for a few years,
Mm,
and then I didn't get back into it again until the CM Punk pipe bomb, and that
okay.
and that hooked me all over again. And from that point, ever since that point, I've been a consistent fan.
That's great, man. I do think about like Shelton back then, and Shelton now looks better than he did in that 2004 match with Triple H, and it's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
Like,
he's enormous.
yeah, he's enormous, and that match. I mean, that style still transfers over, like, cause Shelton would do, he do that dragon whip. He still has that amazing super kick. Like nobody throws a super kick like Shelton. Like
Sure.
he like charges up and hits it, and then that stinger splash, that whole thing, and then getting that surprise win. It's crazy, and to see him now, it's kind of insane that he still looks great.
Yeah.
So like when we talk about the wrestling and what interested to you, you brought up this match. You brought up Chris Benoit. Would you consider yourself like a work rate aficionado?
Um, it's definitely something I value a lot. Yeah.
Uh, like, so what is it about the work that provides you that entertainment? Like, what about the work that is it? The way moves are done? Is it how they tell like the story of a fight throughout the match? Is it basically generally like high impact, fast paced fighting, or is it just the wrestlers who are delivering these stories?
I think for me, it's all about like how much the wrestlers care, how much they put into it, like sort of the intensity and the emotion. Like I'm big on stories within matches. I don't really like like backstage segments or when wrestlers have talk shows or stuff.
Yeah,
But when they're able to tell a story just through their actions in a ring, that's when I really get hooked the most. And yeah, you see that in some of my favorite matches, like Kabashi Masawa from January '97, or
yeah.
Shibata and Tanahashi whenever they get in the ring, guys like that. So yeah, I really, anytime guys can bring some hate and heat into a match, that really draws me in.
I think like okay, if you go back, they did have press conferences right back then. We didn't
Hmm.
really get them subbed or like dubbed, like as translated for us for our like enjoyment. But
Sure.
there were stories back then told of like the disappointment in Kawada never being able to like really topple Misawa,
Right.
or like with there is a story there with Tanahashi and Shibata where Shibata was supposed to be one of the chosen three new musketeers, but he left.
Mm-hmm.
And him coming back, he had to earn that trust again for New Japan. And the thing is, they did tell that story within the ring, but
Right.
and then we we learned this stuff like afterwards, like whether you read like a Wrestling News Observer, like so Shibata comes back and he has to earn the trust, and he ends up like having these match, earning it, doing the G1s and having the matches with like with a Tanahashi, and there's that spot in there where they slap each other, and
Yeah.
like the harder they hit each other, the more respect they're getting and giving to each other. And I think that's a story that was told by them, and they didn't really have to tell that in a promo. You could just feel that in every hit they did. And like there's that
Right.
spot where like Shibata like forearms you into the corner to set up the drop kick. So he does the forearms to Tanahashi, and Tanahashi's sitting down there, and instead of like running to the other side to hit the drop kick, he just stands there and like just like flexes and like just to show his dominance over Tanahashi. And I think like that kind of stuff, like
Mm-hmm.
for me, like little things like that, that tells a story like in the way that they should be told, as opposed to like say like Seth Rollins and John Cena cutting a monologue in the middle of a pro wrestling match that involves only one of them legally. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, that stuff's really like the death knell of American pro wrestling to me. When you're when when Roman Reigns is shouting at Jey Uso to acknowledge him as the tribal chief or whatever. Yeah, no, that's like the worst stuff in
Yeah,
existence to me.
MJF and Adam
Oh,
Cole arguing about who wants to be their friend and to hit me with the belt, and just
oh
throwing
yeah.
the that's just highest drawing match of all time, allegedly.
Yeah, that almost like completely killed my interest in AEW. Yeah, it's just one of the worst. I mean, I never liked MJF, and I felt so validated when he had the awful title reign because he almost killed the company. It was
Yeah,
so bad.
um, like hold on a second. Let me just give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Got to run in by one of my babies. Uh,
No worries.
yeah. Hey, baby. We when I think about that whole program, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, like, because we're talking about top 30 under 30, I'm not aware where did MJF make the list?
Yes, he made around the middle of the list, I believe. Yep.
Okay, so that that run, it could have been monumental for him in one way to really establish him, because he did organically get over as a baby face without getting the real, because the fans were cheering him, he got a little bit, he got over, but then like there was so much garbage in the middle of it, the garbage booking, the racism, the getting booked twice a show, twice on a pay-per-view, and like squashing people in handicap matches. uh, it's like the complaint against him before was, oh, he never wrestles. So what did he do? He gave us 2 matches a week plus 40-minute promos, and then little backstage segments throughout the night. So like the whole show would be based around him. And for me, what I was looking for in a company, what AEW was giving me for at least a little bit in 2022, was something of like similar to how New Japan would build their matches. It's personal, there's fighting, and everything's centered around being the champion and like putting yourself above other wrestlers and showing that you're the man. Like I would see that like Hangman Page versus like Brian Danielson, Kenny Omega, even CM Punk and Eddie Kingston. That whole I'm the guy, not you. That was like the entire basis of how I saw the AEW like how they would build their matches, how they would build their feuds. Even tag teams would be built in that sort of way. Like, no, we're the best tag team in the world. Like when you think about the Hangman and Kenny versus the Bucks, like Hangman and Kenny were having like a tremendous year of like match of the year candidate after match of the year candidate after match of the year candidate, and of course the Bucks were like they didn't win the tag titles yet. They had
Sure.
won the and like it's that whole story. To me, because wrestling in its base form, it's about winning and losing. It's about presenting yourself as trying to win matches. It's about being the best at what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And during that whole period of like 2023, it became what had it become with AEW up and even into 2024 was just like WWE gaga bullshit. And I still see that right now with like, I'm going to date this, but like, you still see that kind of with the Hurt Syndicate. You see it kind of with the Death Riders, and hopefully, in the future when this comes out, all this is over with. Hopefully,
Yeah.
because we're gonna come up on like somewhere. I'm not sure if you're going since it is local to you, because we have All
Oh
Out
yeah.
coming out.
Yeah, I'm going
And
to everything. I got press pass.
okay, you know what? Then you might be coming out this week, then, brother. Uh, so I like, you're gonna become my preview episode now. So, thank you. Um,
Sure.
we going into going into All In. I see like I see flickers of hope.
Yeah,
Cause
I'm looking forward to the show.
yeah, there's this like feeling of hope. Whether it's like Hangman's finally got the hug from Tony Khan, right? He got the hug at the press conference. He's out there doing press. He's doing podcast. He's doing personal appearances. He went on front of Arena Mexico and cut one hell of a promo in Espanol
Yeah.
and Escúchame. And he feels like right now, like the man, and like it always takes people a while to get there. And for me, like I felt like he was there like 3-4 years ago, and it's nuts that we're just getting back to him right now. But promises are made. That's what we hear all the time with AEW when it comes to like criticisms of like who's getting pushed, who's getting the title, why there's title being run going so long. We hear
Mm-hmm.
people are made promises. So like for you on this show, what are you looking forward to?
Well, Kenny versus Okada, of course.
Yeah,
That's the first match on U.S. soil. I think that's pretty awesome that I'm going to be able to see that in person, and I just hope I hope Okada shows up to work, and he did show up for that Continental Classic final. So
yeah.
and yeah,
That
Omega
Ricochet match
obviously.
was pretty good, also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I
Um.
saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Same night. um. It's
Oh
just
yeah. Yeah, you're right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I do. Well, let's talk about it, like, cause it's a trilogy, kind of a. I only count it as the three matches because like it's the G1, the first match, the G1, and then the 2 out of 3 falls, right? Is it three
Well,
matches?
there
Four
was
matches. It's four matches.
yeah, I was about to say it's a quadrilogy.
And then there's
Oh,
the draw.
yes, it was Wrestle Kingdom, Dominion, G1, and then the second Dominion match where Omega beats him.
Yeah. And when we talk about these matches, these are seminal matches and people becoming fans of New Japan during their height of popularity, and not just in Japan but worldwide. They were selling out buildings in America, Canada, in the UK. They were doing shows like in Hong Kong, Australia, and like it's off the back of like the Elite. It's off the back of Kenny Omega and Naito and Okada.
Mm-hmm.
And this feud was pretty much, if I'm going to compare it to something, maybe I'm not sure if I could call it like the Ric Flair Ricky Steamboat of our time, but like that's kind of the closest as I can get as far as like matches and a feud built on just
Sure.
matches.
Right.
Because the first one is built off of like Kenny Omega being the first American to actually no first not American North American first Canadian first Gaijin to win the G1 finals and main event the Tokyo Dome in that way for Wrestle Kingdom. And
Sure.
like you have all this history between them. You have like the Young Bucks and Kenny, Young Bucks and Okada. You have all this history of all the matches. You have all the spots that they can go through and the callbacks. Uh, I don't feel like the build in particular has been like representative of like what I would expect the match to be. But usually with when it comes to AEW, the build never matches how great a match can be. Cause when I think about like good matches this year, I think about like or last year, I think about like Will Ospreay versus Swerve. That didn't really get much of a build, but that was one of my favorite matches of the year. You got Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson. Not really a great build, but an excellent match.
Mm-hmm.
This has been built on like sneak attacks, Okada saying bitch a lot,
Yeah.
and like it kind of like Memphis Gaga with the blood and the beat down on the stretcher and like
Mm-hmm.
it's I guess it's really American. Uh, we got the
Yeah.
Doncaster family involvement now, so like it doesn't feel like how it felt before, where before it was two guys colliding and trying to prove who's better. This one is like, now I have your uncle on my side, ha ha ha, and it and like whatever, sure, but like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really in on the storylines, but I love wrestling, so like the match is something that I am looking forward to see where they're at now because I know where Kenny's at now, seeing that match with Gabe Kidd,
Right.
and I know that, and I feel like Okada has kind of been just holding back, taking a little bit of surf lessons from his big
That's
brother, you know.
that's what I was gonna say. Is he was following after Shinsuke's influence. He was, I just wants came to America to take it easy.
Well, he also like he has the catchphrase, he has like the taunt,
Yeah.
he knows, and he's over, and he knows he barely has to do anything to stay over.
Sure.
Well, besides like when he was in Arena, Mexico, and they're saying next match, next match. I personally didn't see a problem with Mark and Okada last that week, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
but to see these two come for like to unify like two pretty much worthless mid card titles to make one worthless mid card title, that's gonna be interesting to see how the match plays out and how much time they get.
Yeah. I mean, I would expect it to be one of the longer matches in the show. I feel like, yeah, this kind of follows the suit of Omega Takeshita or the Osprey Takeshita. That I feel like that's kind of in this. That's kind of the slot that this match is in. So I would expect, I mean, at least probably like 25 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, hopefully. One of the and since like I'm just want to talk like about the big matches we have. So like we also have the tag team match that they kind of set up for the EVP tag titles, which is funny to me. Apparently,
Mm-hmm.
the EVP titles are actually up for grabs between the Young Bucks and the Mogul Embassy, is what I've been calling them. And some other people have been calling them something else, but it's Swerve and Will Ospreay.
Right.
That match is going to be a very good party match for me because these four are probably going to go full blast, full speed for like, the 15 minutes that they'll get, and it's going to be insane because it's the Young Bucks, it's Swerve, and it's Osprey.
Sure. Yeah. No, it should be. That should be really fun. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's probably gonna be better than the actual tag title match that night.
Yeah. If we're gonna preview that, I mean, if the tag title match is Jet Speed versus Hurt Syndicate, I'm kind of expecting that to just be a squash match.
Yeah. I
They've
don't.
been
Spoiler alert for anyone out there. I interviewed Bobby Lashley on Friday, and he did confirm to me that that's the tag title match.
oh great.
Yeah.
Like as we were talking earlier, I'm a big fan of Shelton Benjamin. He's one of my favorites.
Right.
Also, Bobby Lashley is one of my favorites. Like
Sure.
those two are like one of my favorites from that era, like the 2000s up to 2010s. You know, I love Shelton in New Japan with Suzuki Gun. Um, I like Bobby Lashley's run in TNA. He was great. He was a great world champion there. But to see them in AEW, it's kind of like round hole square peg, where I just feel like, you know, it's they're doing their thing. They're over. They'll probably win, and that's that's probably what I expect. It's probably gonna be a, and you know, like, it's calling a spade a spade. They have been selling for really for Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight. They've been taking bumps off of like drop kicks and stuff like that. So maybe they might get something. Maybe it might be a squash. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm hoping it's a real match, and
Yeah,
I haven't been thrilled with their pay-per-view matches that I've seen in the past, but
yeah,
Bailey and Kevin are both great. So
yeah,
yeah, hopefully they can make something happen.
yeah. That's that's something I look forward to. And then I think we're coming to like the three big matches. I guess I'm gonna talk about the men's and women's gauntlet. I'm hoping to see whoever wins the gauntlet kind of decides who's gonna win the world title matches, in my opinion.
Sure.
Yeah, and like I see like in my brain who I want to win. Like for the women's side, I really want Willow to be the one to win the match and be getting that push towards being the face of the division, because to me she should be the face of the division and the fans treat her like she's a megastar.
Yeah, that's a good call. I hadn't really put much thought into it, but yeah, Willow would be a good winner.
Yeah. And as far as the men's goes, I'm gonna choose Darby Allin.
Mm. Yeah, that's a smart pick. Yeah, yeah, I could totally see it being Darby. Yeah, that's. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I was thinking maybe MJF, but
Yeah.
yeah, Darby
Again,
could be the
it
winner.
could like that's my second choice is MJF because
Yeah.
now MJF has the stable, and like if MJF if and that takes me into like the main event matches. You know, Tony Storm versus Mercedes. I actually see Mercedes getting everything here,
Mm-hmm.
and whoever wins the gauntlet is going to be the one that gets the win over Mercedes and gets the world title off of her.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. My one kind of kind of peeve with that is that we just had the storyline a year ago at All In where Tony lost her title to the Owen Hart Cup winner. And
Yeah,
now it's a year later and she's going to lose the title to the Owen Hart Cup winner again, which I'm not crazy about that, but it the way you explain it makes sense, and I get that it's ultimately serving a greater rub for Willow or whoever else eventually beats
yeah.
Mercedes.
Whether it's Willow, whether it's Chris, whether for me like a sentimental favorite for me is going to be like Athena in Dallas. You know,
Oh yeah,
Texas is her home state.
yeah.
She's probably going to
It's
get a
her.
big pop.
Well, it's
And
her. She literally lives in Arlington, actually,
yeah,
so it's her
yeah.
hometown. Yeah.
So it's like it's her hometown. So, and we know how
Yeah.
Tony loves to book guys in their hometown to go over.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm hopeful because their match that they had earlier this year is pretty good. But like Athena on main event pay per views this for the last 2 years, 3 years has been like phenomenal. Like she had excellent matches with people who do not have excellent matches. Like she had that one with Queen Amanada last year. She had that one with Billy Stark. She had wow. She's just she shouldn't be a hidden gem, but she is, and I hope that she actually gets to do something this year. And I'm happy that she's being used on TV right now.
Yeah, I'd like to see her on AEW main TV full time going forward, but we'll see.
Yeah, and that brings us to our main event. John Moxley, the world champion, the men's world champion versus Hangman Page. Um, this series of matches is probably some of my favorite matches in AEW history. They did release like a timeline of all their matches, and like when you like listen to that first promo like Moxley cuts about like enough of this sad boy shit, and then like the KO victory over Hangman, he comes back and knocks out Moxley's teeth, and he says, "Yeah, I couldn't hold my baby. Now you can hold your baby." And then that
Hmm.
leads to the Texas Death Match, where he becomes the first guy to tap out Mox. I think that's the first tap out loss Mox has had, like even including WWE, because I don't think he's really tapped out ever.
Yeah, nothing comes to mind.
Yeah, so like this match has like history to it. It has stakes to it, and that's why I feel like Mox is gonna win. I do have
Really?
a I do have a bet with Trish of Trish and Sarah podcast.
Hmm.
But that's not the reason why I'm thinking Mox is gonna win. I think Mox is gonna win because, as I said at the beginning of this, promises were made, and I still think like because Darby's about to be one of the big shows on Shark Week this year, and I think he's going to be getting a big push going for the next bottom half of the year. I mean, he could have the match with Hangman if he wants to, but I think Moxley retains here and Swerve does, and like whatever the match is, I think Hangman comes out better for it, even if he loses. I know that's weird to say, but like I honestly think win or lose, he's not the loser. He is going to get more over either way, but I just don't see him with the title going into like the lighter half of the year.
I just don't think you can end your biggest show, uh, your biggest American show of all time with Moxley retaining again. That just seems like such a downer of an ending to me that I feel like Hangman's got to win. I mean, that's what I think it's going to happen.
Yeah,
I mean, what you're saying makes sense, but I don't think the Darby Moxley feud really needs the belt, but you know, if you do feel like it does, I mean, Moxley could just
personally, I don't feel like it does. Like,
yeah,
yeah, I might have bet on Hangman to lose, right? But I want
hmm,
him to win.
sure,
like, um, but like, yeah, man. And I find it interesting. You already did the press interviews for all in, and who do we have to look forward to listening to those?
um. Yeah, so the Bobby Lashley interview should be out sometime this week. I talked with Anthony Bowens recently and Ricochet last month, and I do have an interview uh, with Tony Khan himself on Thursday, actually.
Oh,
So I'll be
that's
speaking with him.
that's freaking that's amazing, man. I'm looking forward to all of those.
Yeah.
The Tony Khan one in particular because he during like hype months or hype weeks, fight weeks,
Hmm.
he says some um, pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah,
And
I got some good questions planned for him, so I'm hoping we'll give you some good material.
heck yeah, man. We were talking a little bit earlier about like some of your interests, right?
Hmm.
And you brought up Michael Mann movies, and specifically, we talked about like Heat.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, because you have a great goatee. Like, Robert De Niro has an excellent goatee in that movie, like
Sure.
5-star goatee. Um,
Yeah.
that movie is like probably one of my favorite. Like, it's just like almost 3 hours of just pure anxiety, because you don't know what's happening. You don't know who's gonna die. You don't know like what's gonna be escalating, and then that final part of just like an hour of pure like bullets flying everywhere and like the heat. That
Hmm.
movie fits, like that movie title just fits. It's just heat all around. What is it about that movie that like speaks to you?
Well, I love the characters. You know, both Al Pacino and Robert De Niro give these amazing performances, and I love the way they play off each other. How they're both kind of two sides of the same coin. How they're both single-mindedly driven by what they do. One guy, he wants to take scores, and the other guy wants to stop the guy who wants to take scores. And I love their relationship, their dynamic. You know, that scene of them in the diner
Yeah,
is one of the great scenes in movie history. And then of course, just the action scenes. It's some of the best action ever filmed. The opening heist and then the bank heist. The is the climax of the movie are both just these incredible set pieces. It's a gorgeous movie. I love the blue shade. I love the music. I love the you know the closing moments of the film get me choked up every time.
Oh
And
yeah.
I love the way that the gunshots sound in this movie because I don't know if you know this. The reason why they're just so loud, and that's because the audio, that's like what they actually sounded like, just raw. They didn't treat the audio. That's just what the bullets sounded like bouncing off the Los Angeles city streets, the buildings,
So just having
and
like the blanks and ding 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 ding. Oh,
yeah.
that's so sick, man.
And I've been fortunate enough to see the movie several times in a movie theater, and it's one of the best experiences you can have to just hear those gunshots rattling through the theater. It's a great time.
Yeah. Like what we don't see anymore, like in modern action movies, is like squibs.
Oh yeah,
And like in that movie, the squib work is phenomenal. Like when
sure.
you see like Val Kilmer's character just get blasted, or that other guy, the guy who didn't need to go on the score because he already had a family and
Oh
he
yeah,
already had enough money. And when he gets blasted, you're just like, oh. And this. I love that kind of realism. I know like it's not realistic to be like, be blown away, become Swiss cheese and stuff, but like I prefer that than what we see nowadays in movies where the muzzle is CGI and the squid and the blood is all CGI too.
yeah,
It's like it's kind of lame, and you see the guys when they shake, it's just like it's not the same because like when you have the squib on you, you have the thing explodes, so like your body moves to what is exploding on you,
yep,
and it kind of forces you to act.
yeah. I've been wanting to see a return of squibs for ages. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not the same without them.
yeah. Like I'm a big action movie guy. I love squibs. I'm big on like 80s and 90s action, where they're like that's Commando, or something like Heat, or I really love uh, Trouble in Little Tokyo with Dolph
Sure.
Lundgren and Brandon Lee. Uh, yeah, people don't really watch those movies, but like this is the stuff that I love.
Mm-hmm.
And you also, like, cause you're from Texas, you're from Houston. I think that's what you said. Told me.
Yeah.
Like one of the big people from that area, from Texas in general, is like Richard Linklater. You
Yeah.
get, and like his movies always feel lived in when it's like whether it's Dazed and Confused, even Scanner Darkly, everything just feels like lived in. It feels authentic, and like well, also like the way he films his movies, like when he's in the car with people and all that stuff, it just feels like you're there, and that's part of why I really like Richard Linklater. uh,
Yeah, I love well, one of my favorite kind of movies is the hangout movie where it's like there's like minimal plot and you're just hanging out with these characters listening to them talk, and that's yeah, Richard Linklater really mastered that kind of movie. Like yeah, Dazed and Confused is one of my favorites. I love Slacker. I love the Before trilogy with Julie Delpy and Ethan Hawke. He's one of the great dialogue writers of our time.
yeah, it is excellent. And if I'm talking about Texan actors, two of my favorites are because I just watched a couple other movies, and I finished True Detective this year, was is Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey. Just phenomenal. I,
Yeah,
I actually just watched Ed TV the other day, and
I never
like
saw that.
it's kind of weird. The premise is like pretty much how we have IRL streaming this year in our time, right?
Sure.
Imagine like a TV network paid for IRL streaming, kind of like what they do with Big Brother, but they follow you for 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
That's the premise of the movie, and I think like the thing about Matthew McConaughey in the '90s is he could go from playing an everyman in that kind of movie to playing like the lawyer in was it Mississippi Burning, and
You're thinking
like
of a
oh,
Lincoln Lawyer?
is that Lincoln Lawyer? No, it was, he was in that movie where was it?
Mississippi Burning is Gene Hackman.
Is it Gene Hackman? Who is that? What,
Yeah,
he was in the
Gene
movie with
Hackman, Willem Dafoe.
oh yeah, there you go. Never mind. but he could do like all these different kinds of movies. Wait, what was that movie that he was? It was like Lincoln Lawyer, and then there was another one. Well, anyway, he's a really good actor. I love Woody Harrelson because he's funny to me, and because in real life he just looks like the biggest scumbag asshole, and he tends to always play a really scumbag asshole.
Yeah,
But
he does a good job of that with The People versus Larry Flint. I watched
oh
that a few
yeah,
months ago.
he is so gross in that movie, and it's so great also.
Yeah, it's a good
Like,
movie.
um, there's something about the way he has his face and just talks like I love Woody.
Yeah, it's a pretty good impression.
Yeah, yeah, it's better than Matthew McConaughey, which is more slow and yeah. I'm thinking about the Lincoln commercial with him all the time,
Sure.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, but with Woody, it's kind of like you're just like talking really fast, and then you're like, ah. I love doing voices. It's kind of my thing. I like my nephews get a kick out of it, um, and like you know, you're in the news. My question is, how did you end up being a newsman?
Well, I wanted to be a film critic originally,
Oh,
and so I was like, well, critics write in newspapers, so I better get a journalism degree. And so I started that in college, and I went to my school paper, the university paper, and I was like, hey, I'd like to write movie reviews. And they were like, well, we don't really need that, but do you want to give news writing a shot? And I was like, yeah, I'll try it out, whatever. And turned out to have turned out to have a knack for it. And you know what I really enjoyed about it when I first started was I felt like a private eye, like a private detective. Like I was out there going around investigating things and trying to get to the bottom of things, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And I was like, yeah, I think I could do this for the rest of my life. And I graduated with my journalism degree in digital and print journalism, and got a job with a newspaper out in Odessa, Texas, out in West Texas, in the oil fields, and did that for a couple of years. And then I went over to the Houston Chronicle, and I wrote there for a couple of years, and then I wound up going to. I had one of my my first ever internship. The guy who hired me for that wound up getting hired to lead the digital team at WFAA, and when he got that job a few months later, he invited me to be part of the digital team, and so I jumped to where I am now, and that's what I've been doing since then.
that's great, man. I know you're way younger than me because I'm 40, and
Hmm.
like I always did have this dream of like following that stuff. But I love when people actually do go through with that, and I mean, being a film critic and wanting to watch movies for a living and write about them, that sounds like a dream job to me. And I'm
Sure.
sure at your when you were thinking about it at that younger age, like that's pretty that'd be a pretty cool ass job, you know.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I do
Yeah.
love the. You were talking about like this earlier, like the Hangout movie. Like I do love Hangout movies. Like one of my favorite
Hmm.
ones is like Chasing Amy, where
Sure.
you can't make that movie now. um, but like just having that snappy dialogue and people reacting to each other, and like that's the stuff that really kind of like reaches me. Whether that's like Ace Ventura,
Hmm.
or like stuff like that, and I enjoy that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I love the original Clerks.
Oh, who doesn't, man? I love
Sure.
Clerks.
Yeah. Great
Um,
movie.
when you get your first job at like a grocery store or like a burger joint or wherever,
Yeah.
um, like that perfectly encapsulates like my early like 20s of working at like my local pharmacy and like dealing with all these customers. I love some of my customers, but some customers were so annoying. And like,
Right. I actually worked at a Kroger fuel kiosk, so I wasn't in the store, but they had a little a little gas station outside in the front that I
yeah,
worked inside the little kiosk, the little booth there, and yeah, I really felt like I was like actively like dying for the whole year I worked there in college. And, yeah, one
yeah.
of the worst jobs I ever had.
You just feel like you're stuck. You're
Yeah,
stuck,
you're
and I
wasting
can't
away.
imagine like Dante and Randall were there for like 10 years, 10 more years after that because it's Clerks 2 and all that stuff. I'm just like,
Right.
and then they end up, well, spoiler. Did you watch Clerks, is it Clerks 3?
Three. I know what happens. Yeah, spoiler alert, the Dante dies.
Yeah, so he dies in the. I couldn't imagine dying in a grocery store, in, in that doing a job I hated. But I think the lesson was like it's not the job, it's the company that they were with each other because they loved each other. I think that was the moral of
Right.
the story in part two. But like Clerks 1, man, just that whole it feels like you're watching a documentary. That's what I like about it.
Sure.
The acting is the acting is whatever, but like you just feel like Randall going on like I know like a couple of Randalls, or sometimes I felt like I was Randall. Everybody
Yeah.
says they're Randall,
Mm-hmm.
but like you just having somebody just like talk shit and like just talking about like stupid stuff. Like I will talk with my coworkers about like sometimes it's Star Wars, but like if I'm talking about the time, it'd be like, oh, we're talking about Naruto. I'm dating myself here, and like yeah, it just felt like uh, it felt like a representation of where I was, and I do love Clerks.
Yeah.
Well, when you try, when you um, when you present your news, because I don't think you're on the digital side of the team, right? So
Yes.
you're posting on the website, you're making these videos. I think one of
Yes.
the videos I did for my research was watching you do you were covering what was it the Iron Claw premiere event. That's one of the ones I watched.
Yeah. Yeah, I did that. I was the red carpet, sure, yeah.
Yeah. Like when you're trying to come up with these kind of like try to make this interesting, what are the things that you try to hit on? Because you talk about when you first became a newsman, you loved being like that part of it where you're doing the research, where you're being a private dick. I love doing that when I'm doing this show because
Yeah.
when people agree to come on the show, uh, spoiler, not spoiler, behind the scenes stuff, I always look into your background. Uh, don't be don't be afraid. There's nothing wrong. You have a great impeccable thing. I love all your pictures on your social media. You keep it all clean. You're controversy less. You're really there's no controversies about you. The controversial
Okay.
thing about you is the pro wrestling views, but nobody really cares about that. So
Sure.
I mean, I care. I love the 30 under 30, and you're a big part of that. I love
Yeah.
your writing on. I love your writing. I love your way you write your news articles. I read a couple of them.
Thank you.
Um, but how I know you is from Voices of Wrestling, seeing those articles there,
Sure.
and you're one of one of the better reads because one of the things that I look for in wrestling writing is for it to be written by actual people who know how to write.
Yeah.
And
I appreciate it.
yeah, I I myself, I I can't really write that well or express myself in that kind of thing, mostly because my hands don't work as how I want them to do anymore. But I also love having kind of like this oral history kind of thing that we're having right now, because I know like it's just an innocuous, um, no stakes conversation that we're having, but it's a day in the life, and like I love having this conversation with people, and particularly I find you very interesting. I find what you do very interesting. I do believe that what you do is important. Reporting news is important. Reporting the facts is important, and making sure that everything that's presented is the truth as much as possible as is like very commendable.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so like when you applied when you apply yourself to like write these articles of like the 30 under 30 and like talk about like your love of like a specific match, when you do that to prepare yourself, do you go and watch the matches, or do you just like dig deep on like the wrestling observers, the newsletters, all that stuff, and that use that within your writing, or do you
Um,
use your own
gen
personal view most of the time?
yeah, generally I'll if I'm writing about a specific match, I'll go back and watch that match over and I might take a few notes. and then I'll give my. I don't like to summarize what happens in the match generally. I just like to give my opinion of the match and why what I liked about it, what I how I why I connected with it, things like that.
Okay, that's great, man. I know you're in Dallas, or you're close to Dallas. I think
I'm in Dallas. Yep.
there is an In and Out there now. Have you
Yeah,
had
there's
have you?
quite a few. Yeah, I literally live not quite down the street, but very close to In-N-Out. Yeah, I used to sometimes I'll stop there because it's on my commute, so sometimes I'll stop there either on my way home or on my way to work. Yeah, every now and then. Yeah, I like the In-N-Out.
Yeah, I love it. It actually originated in my hometown, Baldwin Park, California,
Oh, okay.
and like that's where the original one is. I've been going there since I was a baby. Like literally, there's like baby pictures of me. Like my mom had me, and then she goes In and Out. So,
Nice.
it's I love In and Out, but like you're from Texas, and what everybody talks about is Whataburger there.
Yeah.
Are you a Whataburger guy?
Yeah, I'm a huge Whataburger guy. Yeah, we used to go. I was in marching band in high school, and we used to go there all the time after practice or after games, or just to hang out after school. Yeah, I love Whataburger.
Uh,
It's I you know well it's not as good the last few years as it used to be ever since they got bought out by that larger company in Chicago, but
uh,
it's still okay.
yeah. So like, what's your typical order at Whataburger?
Uh, I pretty much alternate between two things, either the bacon cheeseburger or the chicken strips.
Hmm.
Those are both pretty good. Or if I'm there late at night or early in the morning, I'll get a honey butter chicken biscuit
Yeah. Like,
for breakfast. That's or the occasional breakfast burrito. That's about it.
yeah. My cousin, she's really big on the bacon cheeseburger.
Yeah,
So like, maybe one day I go to Texas and I try that. I wanted to go there this year, but things happen.
sure.
Um, and like, man, I want to like thank you for coming onto my show and giving me this time because I really appreciate it. Um, your your views, your insight, the way you talk, it's phenomenal. And like having you on this show, I know you're tired from work, but like getting you to agree to this it wasn't hard. Sometimes I have to beg for
Mm-hmm.
months to get somebody on. And with you, not to make you sound like you're easy, but it was, you know, it was simple. And like I want to thank you for that, man. I
Sure.
usually love to end my dinners with dessert. So my question for you is like, what's your favorite dessert?
Um, um, I'm generally an ice cream guy, I guess.
Ooh,
I've been for the longest time I was a chocolate chip cookie dough guy. Lately I've just been getting the chocolate vanilla split. It's pretty good.
yeah.
Actually, the first job I ever had was at a frozen custard place.
Oh, I love
And
frozen custard.
yeah, that's probably my favorite kind of ice cream, and I've been going back there now and then. We got one that's pretty close to my place now, so they're pretty good. And yeah, we'd have it fresh every day. Some new flavors that we'd make, and yeah, that was good stuff. So yeah, I guess that's generally what I go to for dessert. It's just ice cream.
Yeah, I'm a huge ice cream guy. I got about I have 5 freezers at home, all of them filled with ice cream.
Wow.
My wife kind of like makes fun of me for that, but she says we're not gonna get anything new until you finish it, and guess what? I always finish it.
Yeah.
So, jokes on you, hun. Um, yeah, man, I really appreciate you spending this time with me. And like, it's when I think about pro wrestling and about what makes a good pro wrestler and what makes a good interviewer is being able to make your opponent look like either a world beater or look like they have a chance of winning. And I hope I've done that with you. I try to I always try to make my subject look like the big star because you are. There's a reason why I asked you to come on. I don't ask everybody to come on. I always
Okay.
try to ask people that I have a form of respect for, and whether it's your work in wrestling writing, your post on which I laugh a lot at on the discords, or
Mm-hmm.
like your I what I was doing research on interviewing you was watching your news bits and reading your
Sure.
articles.
Yep.
It built up my appreciation for you and being able to be a private dick a little bit and just like do a little bit of research onto you. I just want to say thank you, man. This has been fun. Um,
Thanks. Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
yeah. So like I always end this with my final question of the day is always, what do you want your rainbow to say?
Right. God, I don't know. I guess, like my favorite superhero is Superman. So I guess I just want people to be uh it'd be great if everyone could just be more like Superman. Just do what you can to do your part to try to help other people and yeah, not hurt others and stop others from being hurt. No,
Yeah.
you know what I would I would say I got a better. It's my motto in journalism has always been our job is to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. So I think that's what I would put on my rainbow is comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable.
Oh man, that's fantastic. Do you want to plug where people can find you at?
Yeah, sure. So you can find me on WFAA, both on WFAA.com and on our YouTube channel. If you just Google WFAA Pro Wrestling, there's a whole playlist of my interviews with various pro wrestlers. I've spoken with Bobby Lashley and Dustin Rhodes and Darby Allin and Athena and Chris Jericho and a few others. And I also write about pro wrestling on a Substack that you can follow. It's called pwfg.substack.com. That's Paul Wedding Fujiwara Gumi, and yeah, you can read about some of the wrestling I enjoy there. And follow me on Twitter at Paul E Wedding. Uh, and that's all I got.
Oh man, I want to join Paul Wedding Fujiwara Gumi. That sounds like one hell of a group. Um, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, man. I appreciate that.
Sure, sure. Thanks for having me.